Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another live video on Facebook, YouTube, and at Eastwood.com. I'm Randy here in the Eastwood Garage. Today we're talking about our mp200i multi-process welder. So of course we have Matt with us, who's always demonstrating our welders. So Matt, you know, we offer a lot of welders. We've got TIG welders, MIG welders. Why would somebody want a multi-process welder like this one?
I think the multi-process welder, especially if you're in the market for upgrading or trying to get a small shop, you're trying to make a decision of getting the most out of space. This is probably one of the best ones to go for a multi-process, especially this one, because it has, like it sounds like, it has multiple features on it. So you can do pretty much all the welding techniques that you would regularly do in home, automotive, and everything otherwise, welding processes with this. So you can do, you can do your MIG, you can do your stick, and if you want to step it up, you can also do TIG welding, which is pretty cool to have all of that in one machine. So
so even if you were if you know how to MIG weld, but you want to learn how to TIG, you could even use a machine like this to MIG and then practice TIG welding while you're at it. So at least you have a welder that you can use. Yep. You could even use it like that. And if you think all in one, this only weighs
30
I actually do it with one hand if I want to show it's light. Yeah. So it weighs like less than 30 pounds. So it's not like it's a big heavy machine, for what it can do.
Yeah, I think it's really good for, with the multi-process, like Randy mentioned about the TIG welding. TIG welding is something that takes time to practice and learn. Mm-hmm. I hate to see guys and gals jumping into a $3,000–$4,000 TIG welder machine and they're in over their head.
Just get frustrated.
Yeah, and with this, you can learn, you can get really nice TIG welds with this, and you can practice, get the technique down, and then if you want to jump into one of those, you can do so, but you can do a lot of fabrication with TIG welding with that. And I wanted to show today just how quick and easy it was to swap around between the different functions and how I like to have this machine set up. So we have it set up, pretty much ready to go for all the different functions.
Yeah, and don't forget, MIG weld up to 3/8.
Yes.
TIG weld and stick 1/4 inch, and we've got a spool gun right here. Now this is optional, but if you want to weld aluminum, you can weld aluminum with the optional spool gun. So you can really do a lot with this machine, like you were saying. So and 3-year warranty. It has a 3-year warranty and lifetime satisfaction guarantee, like all of our welders. So so that should give you some confidence right there. Just knowing you're going to get a good warranty. And if you have any questions, I'm gonna turn it over to you. I got a multitask today, so if you have any questions, you can post them as a comment, and I'll be answering them. And I'm going to try to throw as many as I can back to Matt and let him answer and let him demonstrate. But I guess I want to let him start showing off some of these controls and and start MIG and TIG welding and show you how this thing works. So all right, cool. Matt, I'll let you go then.
So we're going to flip the machine on here. And I have it set up, probably for the most common function I use. It's a 200 amp machine. So the MIG welding is, if you run the 030 wire in it, you can get 20% duty cycle out of this particular machine at 200 amps, which is pretty decent. And so I have it set up just for the standard MIG welding here. So on the machine, because it is a digital, we can set our voltage up right here on the front, and there's a dial here that has 1 through 10, but you can also read your exact voltage, which is really nice. I like using it especially for sheet metal. If you need to be down low where you're welding something thin, we can dial this thing. Joe can probably see, get you a good shot. I could dial this in fractional voltage. So it's like all of our welders, has infinite adjustability as far as these knobs go, but you can really get, you can get 0.1 difference there. We can change it that quickly and easily. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So we have some 1/8 inch here, and of course you have your wire speed over here that we can adjust, and turn this back to 6. So I'm just going to show you guys, how to switch through all the functions quickly on these, and how easy it is. So throw my gear on, put that underneath. So got a piece of steel here. It's about 1/8 inch, and so we're ready to set up to do some MIG welding. Oop. Make sure our gas is on. Yep. Had to second guess myself there. So I got a MIG weld, just like you would see any other time. Say I want to go to sheet metal to do some sheet metal work. The next you're fabricating a bracket or something, and say we want to go to do some sheet metal patch panel work. What we can do really quickly on this machine is we can turn right here. There's a spot timer. So what we can do is we can flip the spot timer on. That turns on over here for when we're welding with the stick welder. You would read this one over here, but what this does when you're on a spot timer is this is the seconds, the time that we're going to be changing. We're going to be changing the seconds that the spot timer is on. So I'll turn it to say 1 second here, just fairly long, and we're going to leave her. So what this allows me to do is I can hit this trigger and just hold it on, and the machine's going to do everything else. I got my power set up, and I'll just hold it above, and we can actually weld the same spot weld every time. So you can hear it's got the same exact every time. Say that was too much, you want to adjust it. It's real quick and easy. So let's go down to about a little under half a second here. We'll take our little ball off the end. Last week, if you guys, we do these every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do these at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We did one last week where I was spot welding a deck lid skin that I built, and we showed really diving into how to do the spot weld. So if you haven't seen that, you can go on our YouTube channel and you can see the process, and we use this machine as well. So turn it to a little under half a second. You can hear. You can hear the difference in the how quick the spot weld was, and Joe can probably get a shot in there, so you could see the. I did my standard weld up top here, but the spot welds. Use my filler rod so my finger's not blocking it. So this is our one where we had 1 second, and I dialed it down to just a little under half a second. You'd see how much smaller our spot welds got. But the big thing to see is, between these two were 1 second. They're pretty much identical, all these. So you can really replicate your spot welds very quickly by doing that. So that's our MIG welding functions that you can do. Now if we want to step up our game, or you want to get something that's a little more intricate that we want to TIG weld, it's pretty simple here. So we don't really need to even turn the machine off. I'm going to swap these cables over. So what we need to do is our ground cable. So we could flip it right here on the switch on the left here. We're on MIG. If you go right in the center here, I switched it to stick or TIG is when it goes to that function. That's going to turn the motor inside off for the MIG, and we can now either stick weld. So we have our stick welder here. If we wanted to do that, we can plug our stick welder plug with our electrode right in the front here. There's a, I know it's kind of hard to see with the, but we can plug that right in the front there if we want to stick weld, and put electrode in, and we're welding quickly. If we want to TIG weld, it's an extra step, but it's not too bad. So the machine does not switch this stuff internally for you, so you have to switch these two cords when you're doing TIG welding here. I'm going to get my cord out of the way. So I have a gas line that's here that's already hooked up. I want to save you guys the time of watching us hook up the gas line. So I have a separate bottle, so I'm going to turn the MIG mix gas off here. And what I have over here is 100% argon. So with the 100% argon is what you need for doing TIG welding. So I'm going to turn that on, and I have my regulator set already. And then our other one here, we're going to swap with our ground. So the ground cable we're going to put over. And it's got a little half turn deal. Ugh. Oops. Let's put this one in first. Trying to juggle here and not have my helmet fall down in the middle of this. There we go. There's that one. There we go. Much better. All right, so we switched the ground cable around, and we have our TIG welder here. So this, as far as TIG welding goes, this is a pretty basic unit, but it does get you TIG welding quickly and easily. So on this particular model, when you're TIG welding, your gas valve is actually right here on your torch. So when we're ready to TIG weld, we're going to turn this nozzle on, and I'll maybe turn it up to my... So when I'm ready to weld, I put that up to my mic so you guys could hear. When we're ready to weld, you just turn that on. You have your regulator set to your flow that you want. So I turn this on, and then I adjust my knob here to what I want it to be when we're welding. So I'll open that up just a little bit. And this particular unit is a scratch start style unit. So if you guys have arc welded before, it's the same thing. As TIG welding, this simplifies the process, I think, makes it a lot easier for learning. So we can turn our amperage up here. You can see there's 120 amps I have it set at, so we'll use this dial that will be on the left to change it. So I have 120 amps right there. And we have a torch set up, and I have a piece of filler rod, so I have 1/16 filler rod here. So I'm going to turn the gas on first, and then I'll put my helmet down. And then we will, oops, there we go. So then we start, once you get the arc to start, you lift off. We start adding our filler rod like you would normally with any other TIG. But this gets rid of the need for having a foot pedal. You set this up correct, you can just weld without having a foot pedal, which is pretty nice if you guys are just learning, you're intimidated. And when you want to take the arc away, you just pull it away like that. My gas is still coming out, so we close our gas valve. And I'll put that forward so Joe can get a little shot of that. The only thing that's a little tricky with for anybody that's, I mean, if you've arc welded before, it's the same thing. You have to touch it and then quick pull it up. I didn't have that clamp to the table, so in the beginning there, that was my error. It moved a little bit on me, but you touch it, and as soon as you touch it and lift it, it'll start welding. And then you can just start moving along. But you can see it does, you get a pretty good weld with it. It just takes time and practice to get that technique down of adding the filler rod and welding as you go. Definitely takes some practice here. If you want to switch to the spool gun, you can easily click and turn the spool gun on. Put my hat back on. And do we have any questions about, I'll show you guys the spool gun. But do we have any?
No, we don't have any questions yet.
Okay.
At least none that I understand in English. I'm gonna have to start doing like I'm gonna have to figure out 5 or 6 languages. We're getting so many questions from around the world these days.
That's awesome.
That I'm gonna have to pick it up. Knowing 2 languages isn't enough anymore.
So if you want to do your spool gun, as Randy mentioned, we have a spool gun here that we have loaded with aluminum wire here. So what you can do with this is, with aluminum wire, you need to have a spool gun because the wire, if it runs through the liner, it ends up bunching up because the wire is softer. So you can get a spool gun. We have this optional on the website that you can pick up and get if you decide you want to do aluminum. The great thing is if you're already set up for your TIG welding, which takes 100% argon, you use this same gas for welding aluminum with the spool gun. So you can just swap over your gas regulator, you plug your cord in, and you have to run your wires on the inside. It takes a little bit longer to swap out, but it's still just pulling out the MIG. You put this through here and you have to disconnect the cables that are attached for your normal MIG, and you can hook that up. So that's pretty easy, but if you don't want to jump into that, we don't make you buy that right up front. You can buy it additional afterwards, which is nice. So the other thing that's good on this that I forgot to mention, if you're buying this welder, it's really handy if you're going to have the two bottles here, because it does require 100% argon to weld TIG welding or with the spool gun, and you have a CO2 mix when you're doing the MIG welding. So it's good to have the two bottles here. So we have our Pro cart. That's probably our most heavy-duty cart here. That's diamond plate for the top and the bottom. You can fit pretty much any of our machines will fit on this machine, aside from the new mp200i, which has its own wheels. But otherwise, all our standalone units you can put on this machine. But the cool thing is it has the two bottle holder. So if you have this mp200i, you can throw the two bottles on here. And the way I have it set up right now, I have my one gas hose run. I'll turn this so Joe can get it. So I have my gas line right here is running right to the TIG torch that we're using. And the other gas line going into the MIG is over here. It goes into the back of the machine. So you don't have to swap around gas lines. You just leave those connected, and as long as your valve on the torch and the bottle, of course, is shut, there's no issue. So when we're ready to use the TIG, we close the MIG up, open the argon up, and then we can just open our valve right on our TIG like I did. It's that quick and easy. So that's why I like this machine overall. It's because you can do a little bit of everything, and I'll have to have 3 different machines sitting around to do this. That we can all do it with one machine, which is really cool. So any other questions? I just want to.
That's it for all the questions. All the questions today.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks guys for watching. If you have any.
What do we have going on tomorrow?
Oh yeah,
live. We're back with you tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
More welding.
So tomorrow we're doing some more welding. I'm going to show you guys a question we get a lot with TIG welding is welding aluminum. We see people struggling with it quite often. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of TIG welding aluminum and the basics of how to get a nice aluminum TIG weld and some secrets I found to help jumpstart you when welding aluminum. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Facebook, YouTube, and also on Eastwood.com. So I'm Matt. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll catch you later.